Hello guys, it's the HeadphoneAddict's.com here today, and it's that time of the month again where I basically run through all of the equipment I've currently got and tell you a little bit about it. So, as you can see here, first, this is the Audeze WA2, which is a OTL tube amplifier for headphones, and it's also a preamplifier. Did an unboxing of that a few days ago, and I was very excited. Now, the tubes that are currently sitting in this thing are the stock tubes, and to be perfectly honest, while they're not completely burned in yet, I'm not overly excited about the amplifier. I don't think it's fair for me to assess the amplifier in depth now, as one, the tubes are not sufficiently burnt in, two, I've not had enough time with it and opinions change over time, three, I've ordered some new tubes which are said to be phenomenal with this amplifier, so I have to try other tubes as well. From my experience with the amplifier you can see here, which is the Audeze WA6-SE. The tubes that you put in the thing is of huge sonic importance, so basically assessing this thing and talking about its sound signature when it has cheapo tubes, which I don't particularly like, is not really interesting. I will come back to you with a more in-depth review of the Audeze WA2 when I've tried more tubes. So, the Audeze WA6-SE, how about that? Well, it is actually turning in to be the best headphone amplifier that I've heard till date, especially with this tube, which is the USAF-596, coupled with a couple of driver tubes which are Sylvania 6 DR7s. So USAF 596 and Sylvania 6 DR7s. Basically, these tubes, this amp with the Audeze LCD-2 revision 1 and Audeze LCD-3 is some of the most musically enjoyable I've yet to hear. The bass is just to die for, the mids are fantastic, it never gets harsh, it's fast, it doesn't get harsh, as I said, it's just phenomenal, and the bass is just thumping, so that's absolutely great. So that's what I wanted to say about that. And here you can see that I've currently got two of the same, which is the Asus Xonar Essence One. It's a HDP device, which means headphone amplifier, digital to analog converter, and preamplifier in one. So this thing has really been amazing for me, actually. I think it is absolutely phenomenal for its price. It also works great with both high and low impedance headphones, so it's a good starting point, and pretty cheap as well. Now you can ask yourself, why does this idiot have two of the same? Well, inside these things there is something called op-amps, and if you change the op-amps, the sound signature changes, much like tubes. So what I've done is to get two of these, so I can swap op-amps in one of them and try the same or the stock version of it and compare it against swapped op-amps, because when you're going to swap the op-amps you have to open the thing, then you have to switch the op-amps, then you have to screw it back together, turn it on, etc, etc. So it's a huge process, and if I'm going to compare them A/B test, I think that having two of them is the better way to go about it, really. And also it's not so expensive, and I'm not planning on owning both for a very long period of time. I'm going to sell one of them as soon as I've tried different op-amps and really got into what is best for different headphones, really. So with that out of the way, I've talked about all the amplifiers and digital to analog converters. I'm using this as digital to analog converters. Now you might be aware that I also have a Grace Design M903, which is a much more expensive HDP headphone amplifier, digital to analog converter, and preamp. I've lent that out, so I don't currently have it, unfortunately, but as you might be aware, when I talked about the Essence One, I couldn't really tell the difference in the DAC in this one and the M903. So the DAC in this one is really of great value, if you ask me, especially compared to something that's 5 times the price anyway. So okay, now let's go over to some headphones. So first, okay, so here you got the Beyerdynamic DT770. These are Pro versions, the portable version, which is the 32 ohm version. Now this is driven sufficiently by a portable device. However, that's not something I would recommend, as I find them to be boring, really. Sorry about that. I have to fix my angle a bit here. That's nothing I want to I don't like these, really. They are very forward, they lack bass. At least if you want these, get the 80 ohm versions, as those are the bass heavy versions if you're into the DT770 sound. So don't like these. This is an old friend. I talked a lot about these, the Sony MDR-XB500s, which I fall asleep with every night, and they're still not broken. So these are great value, tangle-free cables and everything. And then you have their little brother, which is the XB500. Also a good headphone. However, I find it to be a bit too focused on the mid bass. So basically these are mid bass almost exclusively. So as you might recognize, the XB1000 isn't here anymore, and that's for the simple reason that, as I said, I didn't really like them very much, and they're sold. So living the rest of my life without the XB1000s. Now here is a much more expensive pair of headphones. These are the Beyerdynamic T1s, Beyerdynamic's flagship model. Now this is a really nice headphone, and it was actually the main reason that I got the Audeze WA2. This is said to be a great combination together with Audeze WA2, and that was my main reason for getting it, because I really enjoy the bass on these, the mid-range on these, but the highs, they are a tad too bright for me, and they're very analytical and not very forgiving on harsh, poor recordings, so they tend to be a bit harsh, really, and that's very unfortunate. Now I got the Audeze WA2, as mentioned 2 times before, to try to tune the tubes and get a great match with these ones. Now the stock tubes didn't deliver on that promise. So that's why I've gotten new tubes, and will come back to that once I've tried it. So I really enjoy them a lot, but if you're listening to poor recordings and you are one of those people who like to turn the volume really loud like me, they can be a bit too bright really, but they're absolutely phenomenal headphones. Let me just... Okay, so here you got another early flagship model, the Denon AH-D7000, a huge classic in the audiophile community. Have talked a lot about that before. I really enjoy them. They're super comfortable. So are the T1s. I would actually say that T1s are more detailed, have better bass, deeper bass. They don't have the slam as the D7000 has, but the details in the bass of those and at the higher frequencies are much better. These are more forgiving, but I think that both of them are good all-rounders, minus the fact that those are not good on poor recordings. So if you have good recordings, those are great. Those are a tad better if you don't have good recordings. And I also got the JMoney real leather pads, as I've talked about before, so you can change them out, and they add some width to these and makes the clamping mechanism a bit stronger, so the fit or the comfortability goes a tad down, the bass is more overpowering, and the highs are tamed a bit, but I didn't really enjoy it. I felt that it made them too much focused on bass, on the mid bass. And then you have the Sennheiser HD-600s, which I've talked about before too. I've reviewed it individually as well as compared it to the Sennheiser HD-650s. These are very good all-round headphones, great for watching movies, great for just casual listening. They are less forgiving on poor recordings than the 650s, but they're very good, and well, you can look at my comparison review if you want to know more about them. Comfortability wise, they're about equal with the 650s, which you can see here. They have very similar construction, and well, these are darker sounding than those, and I really enjoy that darker sounding sound signature. Find it to be going really well with long listening sessions if I'm reading something and sitting and listening to music and stuff like that, so that's really great. Now moving along, we have these ones which I've got just a couple of days ago. These are the HiFiMAN HE-400s. They are very good for their price, I would say. I would say that if you want to spend around between $300 and $500 on headphones, you should definitely look into the HE-400 versus the HD-650s versus the HD-600s, as those are all in the same price range. Now, I find these to be a bit too bright for my liking, but they are very good. They have deep bass, they have the fun factor and slam sparkle in the top, and it sounds absolutely great and doesn't require tons of power to be driven sufficiently either, so it's a very good entry model. I'm not confident in giving you huge in-depth reviews right now, as I haven't had it for a very long time, so not wanting to talk to say a lot about it now, because, well, my conclusion is based on very little head time, so don't think it's fair to the HiFiMAN. Not that that's negative or anything, I just feel that I have to wait before I try to assess it. Now, these are the Audeze LCD-3s, and to be perfectly honest, these must be the best headphones that I've tried. I really enjoy the dark tonality on these ones. I really enjoy the bass on these ones, the details, the fact that they never get harsh. They are just uber nice. I really love them. There is one problem though, and that is the fact that you need a great amplifier to drive them and to pull out the mid-range, as I feel actually that the mid-range on the LCD-3s are a bit more recessed than something like the Audeze LCD-2 revision ones. So if you really want these to be more fun, I would say, more engaging, you need a great amplifier, and I've found that in Audio WA6-SE with the tubes that I shown you earlier, which were the USA 596 and the 6DR7 drivers. That makes me just want to sit with these on my head for hours on end, and the same goes for the Audeze LCD-2s. I really enjoy the same qualities about these. These have a tad harsher highs, and the mid bass is a bit more thumping, and the mid range is a bit more forward than the LCD-3s. But if you are into dark tonality and call yourself a bass head and can live with the weight of these cans, because they do weigh a little bit, these are absolutely something you should look into. I'm really excited about them. Also, the Asus Xonar Essence One are very good for the LCD-3s. Even though it's a very cheap headphone amplifier, it pulls out some of that fun factor that I talked about earlier. So these are probably, I'm finding that I'm converging onto the Audeze cans, and I've even thought about maybe even getting the latest version of revision 2 with leather headband and the input terminals and everything, just to have all three of them and compare them. So I'm really finding that my journey into headphones are converging into the Audezes, and I also love the Sennheiser HD650s for music. So for music I would rate it like LCD-3, LCD-2 revision 1, Sennheiser HD650s, and the rest of my journey is going to find an amplifier that really powers these cans well. So I've been looking into Mjölnir, which is their fully balanced headphone amplifier, and I'd love to try that with these ones. So that's something I'm probably going to do within a short period of time. Also going to try the T1s with the WA2, and maybe selling the WA2 if I don't find the pleasure in that. But as things stands now, here is my great love. So that's basically it, really. I think I've talked about most of the things that I wanted to talk about. I'm not going to run through a lot of the tubes that I've got for the WA6-SE, as I'm going to make a full review of SE, the Audio W6-SE, later, and talk about different tube combinations for different headphones and stuff like that. So I'm going to wait with that. And I'm also going to give a full-fledged review of the WA2 from Audio with different headphones. And then I'm probably going to downgrade some of my headphones, as I don't need all of them. I only have 2 ears and 1 head, so that's basically it. So that's what I wanted to say, and thank you for watching. Oh, just a quick word, forgot to mention the Koss Porta Pros. Great pair of headphones. I'm really finding that I'm converging to these 3. Actually, it's the Audeze LCD-2, the Audeze LCD-3, and the Koss Porta Pro, actually. So those are my absolute favorites. Now, thank you for watching. Bye.